Ben, good to see you again. Welcome back to Popternative.
Thanks for having me.
Every time there's a new season of Virgin River, it's interesting, especially in the last couple of drops of the seasons, like season 5 and season 6. I find it interesting because now there's like big kind of events involved, right? So like they had like those episodes that came out that were Christmas themed. So like, a lot of kind of drama and a lot of relationships and figuring it out. But Christmas was like the background, so to speak, right? For this season, you have a big wedding, right? What everyone was kind of talking about. So I'm just wondering, how do you kind of tackle that from an actor perspective, script wise, with everything going on? Do you think about kind of the big event happening, or does it just feel like just the story is continuing? Do you think about the wedding, even though it's not really Brady's wedding, so to speak? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I think it's something that is happening in the background, unless it's kind of, plot point for my character. It's not something I concern myself with. It's kind of that's more of like a showrunner,
Mhm.
director type of problem. I kind of focus on my arc and what I'm contributing to the story. But as far as the event stuff goes, I think they do it fairly well on our show because it does give something for people to rally around. And whether it's the wedding or a Christmas episode or a town event or a fire which happened last year.
Yep.
These are just things that obviously gets people talking, and so I think it's more of a storytelling device than something I actually pay attention to as an actor.
The kind of arc of Brady is just incredible. We kind of talked about this, for previous seasons as well. Very misunderstood character, specifically with season 6. What were some things that were very interesting to you reading the script and then seeing it kind of come to life with Brady on screen? That script to screen journey for Brady, specifically in season 6 for you. What was that like?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of peeling back further who Brady is and who he could be, his potential, kind of unlocking some of that where before you wouldn't have really pegged this guy for a volunteer firefighter or volunteer anything for that matter. He is really starting to truly turn over a new leaf, and it's that idea of redemption, but also rehabilitation. Can someone fully change and is that possible, or is it something where you just are who you are and you'll always be that? So I think that theme is really important for my character going into season 6. And that's been fun to explore.
It's interesting too when you return to Virgin River, because it's interesting because it's like when those announcements come out that you're coming back for a season or filming production, everyone has a lot of different questions about what's going to happen next, specifically with, Jack and Mel, but people are very interested in what's happening with Brady's storyline and everything. What is that like for you when you officially go back on set and film a season of Virgin River? And after all the prep and all the conversations are done, what's that kind of like first week like for you back on a season of Virgin River specifically?
It's just good to see everyone. Definitely a lot of conversations had about what everyone was doing in the hiatus. There's a lot of, good to see yous and but because we've been together for 6 years now,
Mhm.
uh, it's kind of like riding a bike. You get right back on, and everyone has a job to do. We all know each other very well. We're all used to our characters at this point. We're all used to the directors, usually are people we're familiar with that have come back season over season. The camera ops, the crew, everyone, for the most part, I'd say 80% of them have been with us since the start.
Mhm.
So it's very much a family kind of reuniting. And yeah, so it's a big reunion usually.
Absolutely. It's interesting because it's all storytelling at the end of the day. But I'm just wondering, I've kind of talked to you about this before, but it's like you've also, been in some films as well, some holiday films specifically. And I'm just wondering, do you kind of prepare or think about a film versus a series different? Because with Virgin River, right, you have possibility of like returning after season, and the story doesn't really end for Brady in certain ways. With a film, it's like a hundred and so pages, and then it's kind of done unless there's a sequel. Do you have different mindsets of preparation for like a film versus a series, or is it all storytelling for you specifically?
Yeah, it's mostly to do with storytelling, but it does change because of what you mentioned,
Yeah.
the longevity of a project like television, which we're on. I think officially Netflix, their longest running series, dramatic series.
Yeah. We're getting more. We're getting more. That's all that matters. We're getting more, right?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, as far as that goes, I think it really comes down to with the story you're telling, making sure that, even within a season, we know we're coming back, but that's not usually the case. Usually you're shooting something and you don't know. So you're really trying to service the story and give it an arc, and so it feels fulfilling even if you don't come back. But definitely with a movie, there's very much an attention to that journey, and where you're at with it, because that really structures what your day looks like. As far as filming, it's always out of order. It's never chronological. As you know, we shoot, so you've got to know on day one when you're shooting the end of the movie, where you want to go with it, where you got to go, where you got to be. So there is some craft work there, that I hear sometimes some actors say, I show up and I get the set and I just, react to everything. I was like, well, that's great if you're doing a one scene movie, but for me, I like to be a little bit more intelligent and purposeful when I'm crafting, performance.
Are there a lot of conversations like on the days or before really big scenes? Like, do you and Zibby have kind of like little conversations or like game plans before certain things? Do you talk to the directors and writers? Because a lot of that kind of happens. I'm getting involved with the creative process right now, and a lot of that happens before as well. And then on the day, it's just rock and roll, right? You just go and do it. But like, are there any conversations that happen before scenes with kind of your cast and like directors, or is it kind of just you know what you're doing and you just go into it type thing?
No, definitely have those discussions in advance. There's,
Yeah.
the table read. There's,
Yep.
it starts really early. Like for season 6, we were having discussions during season 5 about, potential storylines for Brady in the next season. Same thing. I just had a conversation with Sean, and obviously, we have to yet to be renewed for season 8, but he's already thinking towards that.
Hmm.
So it's usually it's well in advance, where you're
Hmm.
kind of going with things. But even on a macro scale, sorry, on a micro scale, I think you look at things more as okay, we have this big scene coming up today. I know it's going to be a pivotal scene for our characters emotionally, and so I approach that day different than I approach every other day, just because I know the stakes that are there. So it's everything from, like, making sure you get good sleep and eating right, and you've got your homework done for lines, and so you get yourself in the best possible position to succeed, because those are big moments, and honestly, this a lot of people's careers are defined by how they step up in big moments, and
Hmm.
when they have a good scene. It's not often you get a great scene, and when you have a great scene, you have to make sure you do as much with it as you can. And so, yeah, that definitely is something that takes some preparation.
Absolutely. Balls in your court with this next question because I have to ask it, but you can even just say straight up, like, there's going to be more drama. You know what I mean? But I have to ask it. We know that we're getting more Virgin River season 7. It's been renewed. Is there anything you could say about what we can expect with Brady, or anything you could say in regards to what you hope could happen with Brady in season 7 specifically? But you can straight up just squash that. But like, I have to ask it because I feel like everyone will come after me if I don't.
Yeah, yeah, you're not alone in wanting to know these things. I had to talk with Sean. It's all very preliminary and now, so even if I did say something, it's subject to change. But I think, we're gonna explore a little bit more of what Brady's relationship to fighting fires is, and just him navigating the obviously what happened with his bank account getting zeroed out at the end of season 6,
Oh, brutal. I remember that I was yeah, that was brutal, dude. Like how do you when did you like what was that like reading that in the script specifically, that big reveal, so to speak? It's devastating.
Yeah, I I mean I again that was one of the points I knew was coming from even before we started shooting the series. So I knew that season, so I knew that was coming, but I did you can relate, everyone's gotten an email at some point or some bad news, whether it be like, tax bill or we all get the unexpected thing that we you look at your phone, you're like, are you kidding me right now? Like, and so I've definitely had multiple moments to draw from that. And so it was easy for me to drop into that moment.
But we can expect more. We just want to know what happens next, basically, and like with that journey, because it's just, Brady
Yeah,
sometimes can't catch a break.
I mean, if I was to tell you what I think Brady would do, is I think he'd hunt her down and find out where his money is. I don't think he's the kind of guy to be like, well, so I think there's probably something there. Just knowing my character and imagining like he's not just gonna leave that alone. I think he's
Yeah.
gonna track it down.
I'm wondering too, because I've asked you this before in regards to the ensemble cast specifically, and you have a lot of your scenes with specific people. But I'm wondering, like, it's a big cast, but it's there's this like, but it's a small town of Virgin River. And do you ever think about how ironic it is sometimes, where it's like you're doing this small town show, but it's like takes a village to make Virgin River, right? It's a big cast and crew and like everything. Do you ever think about that? Because I thought that's kind of interesting too, right? It's a little ironic if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean it's ironic, but also it's kind of sort of like what Virgin River is like. I mean, everyone knows each other. Everyone, as big of a set as it is, because we've been together for so long, everyone knows not only each other, but they know their business and their kids and all that stuff. So yes, you're right. It's a very big set. There's lots of people, lots of things happening all the time, but there still is this if I was to just say the thing they both have in common is this sense of community
Hmm.
uh, that's there, that where everyone feels like they're in it together and their success is based on how well they work together. And I think that's similar in Virgin River.
I'm really excited to ask you this because we've had these conversations and we really love to kind of dissect and get into the kind of development of Brady because he is such a misunderstood character and a lot of things happen to him that make you go, wow, right? And he does a lot of things sometimes that people are like, oof, you know what I mean? So I'm just wondering if you like think about this at all. Do you ever think about the audience watching Virgin River while you make it? Or is that something, because I know you try not to, but like, do you ever think about kind of reactions or what people are going to think about certain scenes while you're kind of on set? Or do you try not to, and that's something you kind of focus on a little bit more after you wrap specifically? Like, are you conscious of the audience member at all while you're filming Virgin River?
Yeah, of course, you always are. I mean, I think that's who you're doing it for, right? So you're constantly asking yourself, is the audience going to understand this? Are they going to? You're very much aware of it because that's who you're trying to communicate the story to, and if you're not aware of that, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. I mean, you can make something for yourself, but I think that is not a recipe for success. I think you need to be aware that not only are they there, but like how are they going to feel about things, and what is the want? Like, what are you wanting them to feel? Are you wanting them to feel heartbroken? Are you wanting them to feel, um, are you wanting them to feel lust or passion or there's a number of different things, and then usually it's the director that needs to be hyper aware of that. But I think as an actor, even as an actor, it's less aware of like what their reaction is going to be and more aware of that for this story to be engaging, which is the overall goal no matter what, especially on Netflix, is you want engagement, right? You want people tuning back in, you want to
Absolutely.
keeping the subscription base so that next season comes out, they're there to watch it. And so really at the end of the day, as long as it's engaging and people are wanting to watch more of it and come back, I mean, that's the overall goal.
Yeah.
And how you go about doing that is the trick.
So well said. I get a lot of people with that question, just like no, like you don't think about the audience. You're focusing on so like it's good that you say the ever. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, I
That's
say like in the moment, I'm not thinking about
yeah.
it. I'm never like I don't think about anything when I'm acting. It's that's all me living. Like I don't. When I'm in the moment, I only think about what my character's thinking about and what my character wants from that moment and how they're trying to go about getting it and how they're feeling about what's happening to them. And that's all stuff that happens before, right? So
Yeah.
that kind of dialogue, and then that informs kind of how you play out a scene and how those choices you make. But once you kind of got the structure of a scene, you're just living it. And if something happens, you live out that and let the editor figure out, is this the right take to use or is this the right take to use? But I think overall going into it, you have to be on the same page.
100%. And, season 6 of Virgin River is streaming now worldwide on Netflix. And then we will eventually get more Virgin River, because season 7 is coming when we get it type thing. And I'm really happy for you and the cast and crew, and just incredible arc with Brady. Congratulations. Ben, so great chatting with you as always. Thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thanks, Brady. We'll see you next season.
Yeah, Instagram is just your name if you want to keep up to date with everything, right?
Yeah, it's Hollingsworth B, the letter B. So Hollingsworth B.
Awesome. Well, this has been Pop Turner, youtube.com/Pop Turner. Previous episodes, you can of course catch Benjamin Hollingsworth as Brady in season 6 of Virgin River, streaming now on Netflix. Until next time, this is Ben and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.